So welcome, welcome, welcome. It's good to be here with you as always. And I know we just had a really powerful, intense retreat, brought up all kinds of things for a number of people. And so we're just going to keep working with it. We're going to keep working with what's here. And then I'm going to, just because this force of Kundalini that moves through my life, it's like a freight train. I'm going to invite you to our next retreat. The next retreat is in person. It's in Sedona, one of the world's great vortexes. And there's a couple spots left, a couple non-residential spots, and then a couple, camp out, sleep on the floor spots, if you're adventurous. So anyways, send me an email if you're interested in that. I'm not posting any of these details on my website. It's because this is going to be a very small, intimate, in-person retreat. And so if you're interested, April 3rd through the 6th, 2025. And then the next retreat that's on the books after that is another in-person one, and that is in the middle of July. I believe it's July 13th, at the Kripalu Yoga Center in Massachusetts, the biggest retreat center here in the US. So there's details on kripalu.org. And anyways, I'll post it all. I'll post the Kripalu retreat on my website at some point soon. Okay, that's a lot of information. And I will have an online retreat probably sometime in May and or the beginning of June. Okay. So one of the things that came up on the retreat was just this experience that happens on the spiritual path. And it's an experience that's very intimate to us individually, but it's not always spoken about. Sometimes it's complained about, but not always spoken about by spiritual teachers. That when you come into the light, there will be a period of purification. And there's normally a big period of purification that goes on for a number of years. And some people might call this period the dark night of the soul. And I certainly had a massive period of purification and transformation. And, it was wild, it was intense, everything in my body that could go wrong would go wrong. And, it was just, I lost my memory. I lost the ability to add and, do math. And, my mind became quite dyslexic. But in its place, began this vast emptiness, this vast spaciousness. And then in the place of the normal functioning of like just the physical body, well, in addition to the normal function of the physical body, was all this light. And, as many of you know, light is beautiful and it's wondrous. But, these types of things can be real troublesome if you're trying to be a normal human being and raise a family or go to work and this type of thing. And I can tell you the thing that saved me from just being a chronic, anxious, and fearful individual, because anyone who goes through a Kundalini awakening will have a choice. And the choice will be to be a chronic, anxious individual and maybe a hypersensitive individual, or you will become a person of deep faith, of deep trust, of deep knowing. But in order to make this transition, we have to have faith that what is happening and what is coming to us is good. We have to have faith that this is good. Now, faith works on a number of levels. There's mental faith. There's a deeper, like emotional faith. And there's this true faith, which is that arises deep in the soul. So this is more in the background, just this deep type of knowing that this is God's world, God's universe. This body is God's body. Not Craig's body, not your body, but it's God's body. It's God's body. And we being the soul, are children of God. We are children of God, and we are living, walking, breathing in God's body and in God's world. Now, every ego on planet Earth has the opposite thought of this. This is my body. This is my home. This is my life. Sometimes my wife and my daughter, they put on some kind of rapper music song, talking about my life, you're in my house. I don't know what that song is, but I hear it every now and then. And that's, a display of sheer ego. And, it's a display of empowered ego. And I don't need to get into that. But anyways, if we are going to live and walk this path in a sane way, a healthy way, in a victorious way, we must come to this basic truth. This basic truth that this is God's world. This is God's body. Your soul, but God's body. And when you step into the soul has a different program in it. The soul has faith and trust in God, faith and trust in life, faith and trust that is beyond, that is not dependent upon how we feel. And I speak about this every week because this is the main obstacle to Kundalini awakening, is this belief that I should feel good all the time, that I should be in control of my life and my feelings, that I chase after things that feel good and run away from things that feel bad. If something bad happens, or if there's difficulty in my body, that means it's bad. That's the voice of the ego. The voice of God, the voice of faith, knows that this is a challenging world, an evolutionary world, a world where we are to awaken to the light and bring light into the difficulty of planet Earth, into the difficulties in our body, into the resistance in our body. And so there was numerous times throughout the Bible where Jesus, he said this thing. He said, your faith is what made you well. Your faith is what made you well. And I can attest to this because, I had a horrific Kundalini awakening in every possible way, I was financially destitute, I was homeless at times with children, kind of bounced around from house to house and place to place. And I had, lived in great poverty, of course. My body didn't work. It said my mind, shut down. It didn't work. I had seizures for years and shaking and trembling and trouble with vision and lost the ability to drive. The list goes on. But all throughout, I'm going to show you what I had faith in. I did not have faith in the voice of my mind. Now, sometimes, I would stress and worry about money, certainly, and about my children, but I'm going to show you. I feel like I'm at show and tell here. This is what I had faith in. Faith in the Divine Mother, in her light, her love, her truth, her strength, and her glory. Faith in her glory. And if you look in this image, you'll see that she's really beautiful, and she's has like a little crown, like a tiara, and then she has of course these beams of light coming out of her, from the yogic tradition, shining, arising out of her heart. So she has many helpers, and you see, there's many universes around her. And the reason I like this image is because it shows her in a mysterious way. And this is a massive aspect of faith, is we look up into the universe and we're having faith in this grand mystery. In this grand mystery, a mystery that we do not understand, a mystery that does not make sense, but a mystery that appears to be in our life, a mystery that appears to be awakening in our spine, in our soul, and of course, in the physicality of our body. And this is such a challenge, such a challenge. To have a light so bright that it causes your body to shake, a light so bright that, often it will give us headaches or migraines, or, it will feel like, that a lot of people say it feels like our blood vessels are breaking in my brain, or my heart is exploding. Of course, the heart doesn't explode. This light is not here to kill us. It is here to transmute us, and that can be incredibly challenging. And so I want to really acknowledge today that I validate your pain, but I invite you to have great faith in something much larger than yourself. Great faith in something much bigger and more intelligent than the voice in your mind. And really, this is what spiritual awakening is. Spiritual awakening is basically looking at your mind and then looking out at the greater, mysterious reality and saying, I choose to have faith in the greater reality. I'm not going to have faith in the little voice of my mind. When you have faith in the little voice of your mind, it keeps you small. It keeps you petty. And then in regards to Kundalini, when Kundalini Shakti, and Kundalini Shakti is basically the manifest form of the Divine Mother. So Shakti, which is light flowing through your body, is the manifest form of this great being, this great mysterious being. And so we always have a choice. Do I want to agree and identify with that which is small within me? Or do I want to open and surrender to that which is massive and that which I don't understand? Now, I want to add a little caveat here, because some of you struggle with entities and some of you struggle with lesser life forms on the path. And some of you sometimes confuse entities with the voice of Kundalini, the voice of the Divine Mother. And I want to be clear here. The voice of the Divine Mother is always good all the time. But it doesn't mean that when she comes, you will feel good all the time. Sometimes when a bright light comes into the room and there's darkness or confusion or chaos within your psyche, you will feel perhaps a revolt in your psyche. And so I want to just see if I can act this out a little bit. So let's say enters the Divine Mother into your consciousness with lots of light. And then up comes resistance, fear, confusion, heartache, despair, split off aspects of the psyche, wounds, shadows. Let's just say you're open, and because you're open, the Divine Mother comes in. And also because you're open, just like if you leave your door open in the summertime, a mosquito might fly in the room. And there's been many people throughout the years, countless times. It's so many times that I'm tired of speaking about it, but where people have mistaken an entity, a mosquito floating into the room, for Kundalini. And they say the Kundalini is trying to get me to slap myself in the face, or trying to get me to harm my brother. It says these negative thoughts to me. That's not Kundalini. That's some negative force that has co-incarnated entered the room, that is co-arisen in the presence of the Divine Mother. In the presence of the Divine Mother. When we have faith, the only thing you have to have faith in is that which is good, that which is true, and that which is beautiful. But some of us have a real childlike faith and do not have a discerning clarity of consciousness. And so when all these things arise together, resistance, fear, shadow, wound, let's throw a fun one in there in the shadow realm. Rampant sexual thoughts or lustful thoughts, because sometimes when the light shines on the lower chakras, some real animal desires come forward into the psyche. And then let's throw in an entity there. A lot of people say, all this stuff here is Kundalini. When Kundalini is just pure light and love coming into your consciousness. But sometimes when light and love comes into the room, resistance comes forward. Fear comes forward. Sadness or heartache comes forward. An old wound comes forward. This is a very common thing where a child will come home from school and be in the company of, her mother. And then all of a sudden, the child just starts crying. And the mother says, "What is it, my dear?" The child says, "Well, this thing happened at school." But the child doesn't associate the tears that are arising with something wrong. She's letting go of the tears because her mother is in the room. Because her mother is holding a space of love for her. But imagine if that child came home from school being bullied and looks at mother and starts crying and thinks, "Oh, it's mother's fault." It's not mother's fault. But so many people do that with Kundalini. It's shocking to me. Shocking that people don't have the skill of discernment to know what is good, and then what is human is human. And sometimes that which is human, like resistance, arises when the Divine Mother comes to town. The same happens on retreat. We come into a retreat with lots of light, and our wound comes up, and we say it's the retreat's fault. No, it's the fact that we have a wound. The retreat is a great opportunity to work with it, to heal it. When we have this as a mind state, our faith deepens and it matures in an astronomical way, in a cosmic way, in an evolutionary way. But when we don't have this type of maturity, I see people blame Kundalini for all kinds of things. They'll say, "Kundalini is stopping me from talking." No, it isn't. No, it isn't. That's your superego or your shadow or some memory of your father from the past. It's not Kundalini stopping you from talking. And so when we have faith in that which is good, that which is whole, that which is healing. And faith is such a challenge here, such a challenge in this world. And what I'm trying to ask of each of you is to have faith in the goodness of your heart and the goodness of the Divine Mother. The strength and the depth of your being and the strength of the Divine Mother. To have faith in your human path, that you're headed on a developmental path of growth and healing and awakening, and having faith that God has brought you on this path. But when challenges arise, this is a time we need greater faith, a faith that knows I'm going to keep going forward, despite how difficult it is, despite having a headache, despite having, emptiness or an experience of the void, despite having so much Shakti that like we're dancing all over the place. Is, can we have faith? Can we continue to trust and open? And if you do so, you will be set free by your faith. But if you choose, instead of having faith, to listen to the negative voice of the mind, the fearful voice of the mind, the voice that shuts you down, This very voice will prolong your path. Will prolong your path. And so I'm going to invite us all to close our eyes here for a couple minutes if we haven't already. And I invite you to find your evolving edge within your body. The point that Kundalini Shakti puts pressure on. So here's Kundalini Shakti, here's the Divine Mother coming into your life, coming into your direct experience of being human, and shining the light of awareness, bringing forth the light of transformation. And normally, within an individual on the path, there will be numerous points in the body. Often the throat is a choke point. The solar plexus is a choke point. The hara, the heart, the root. Can be all these choke points where our ego resists and it grips and it holds on and it's tense. And let's just take a moment here and breathe and invite some energy of Shiva consciousness, which is vast and spacious, to open. And so with this opening to Shiva consciousness, we are acknowledging there is space here. There's room here for the Divine Mother. There's room for Shakti. There's room for our humanity. There's even room for resistance. And so when we step into Shiva consciousness, we don't judge resistance. We don't say it's wrong or bad. We don't say, get out of here, resistance. You're going to cause me to have the dark night of the soul. We're just open and we fully allow. And so let us breathe. Let us feel. Let us soften and open. And open with love. With love. Let us open with faith. And the act of faith to choose to open in points of tension. Choosing to breathe, to feel, to soften. And we'll just take a moment here and we'll soften in the crown chakra, soften in the space of the mind, letting go of any fearful thoughts or discursive thoughts. Opening in the throat. And trusting in grace, trusting in love, trusting in peace, trusting in the transformative nature of light. Even if light comes with intensity and creates some difficulty in the body, because the body's resisting this beauty and this brilliance, not because light is wrong. Of course, light is good. We're having total faith in light. Total faith in love. Total faith in healing and transformation. Now, there's many of you in this room who need to lose faith in the voice of their mind, the voice of negativity, a voice that says, I'm not worthy to receive you, Lord, or I'm not worthy to receive love from other human beings, like whatever the unworthiness is. We need to lose faith in that voice, the voice that says, I'm lovable. We need to awaken and experience faith directly as we feel this immensity of light pouring through our body. Even smiling, like, what am I talking about? Unworthy. There's all this light that is here. The Divine Mother is here for you, awakening in you, awakening as you. As you. So softening more fully in the throat, clearing out any unworthiness, any voices of doubt. And none of us at this stage in our journey need to hold on to some rational, some limited rational scientific materialism. Let's just throw that all out. And in its place, we want sanity, clarity, openness, and a willingness to see with open eyes, with an open heart, a trusting belly, seeing and having faith in the divine. So by seeing, we're talking about this inner seeing, the ability to feel light, to experience light, to feel radiance without the negativity of doubt. It's acknowledging God is here. Life is waking up in you now. And can we smile? Can we open? Can we trust more deeply in the heart? In the solar plexus. Surrendering our human will and our human desires. And saying, it appears that God has a greater life for me. In the trajectory of my human desires, God is inviting me to live a life divine, a life of transformation, a life of opening to the mystery of grace. The mystery of grace goes on into infinity. There's countless divine realms and worlds of divinity, and angels and heavenly beings. Immense love, immense light, immense freedom. And can we open, letting the Shakti flow through our being, through the physical channels, through the subtle energetic channels, through the nadis, the meridians. Can we choose to open to grace, open to light, open to love? And come to recognize that it is your faith that will restore order. It is your faith that will make you well. It is your faith that will carry you through the fires of transformation. Will carry you through the fires of transformation. And many of us really struggle with this last part. Anytime it starts to get hot or intense or difficult, many people run or shut down or think they are doing something wrong when simply transformation is happening. And so again, we breathe, we feel, we soften, we open, deep in the belly, deep in the heart, deep in the root. Absolute faith in the Divine Mother and Shakti, in the trajectory of your soul. That you are not a human being having this spiritual experience. Rather, you are a spiritual being at your core, in the depth of your being. You are a spiritual being. You are the light. You are this love. We are not the small voice in our head. We are this immense presence of light, of love, of space, of emptiness, of freedom. And this divine grace is here to show you that what you are is much, much greater, much grander than any limitation of the mind or of conditioning. And so, in this last moment of meditation here, we take a deep, full breath. We actively choose to have faith in our highest, to have faith in our glory, to have faith in our divinity, to have faith in the divinity of this world, the divinity of this path. We choose to open with great love and great faith, a faith that will make us well, a faith that will set us free, that will set us free. Be restored. Be restored by your faith. Be restored by your faith. And just know at any moment on the path, you have this choice to be restored, to be brought into unity, to be brought into harmony and balance through continual faith. Or if we choose to align with the ego, we will be divided, we'll feel petty, we'll feel less than, we'll feel limited, we'll feel as if we're a victim. So the choice is yours to choose the highest or to choose the habitual. I know. I know what I will choose. I know what I will choose. And I invite you to join me in this space. In this space. Okay, so much love.